Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is TheJackSilkstone. So, Thorpe Park Fright Nights has finally come to an end. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about and reviewing all of the mazes that were at this year's event.
Lights, camera, action.
So, Fright Nights has now come to an end, and this will be the very final Fright Nights video of the year on this channel. I really hope you guys have enjoyed all of the Fright Nights content that has been uploaded to this channel. I've literally spent 4 months this year grinding out like Fright Nights related videos. So yeah, if you have enjoyed them, be sure to leave a thumbs up on this video. So I'm going to be giving my very final thoughts and some in-depth reviews on all of the mazes in today's video. I'm going to try to be as honest as possible in these reviews, and obviously horror mazes are very subjective, so just because I think some of these things, it doesn't mean that everyone thinks these at all. But yeah, these are my own personal thoughts. We're going to start off with The Walking Dead Do or Die. I want to start off by straight up saying Do or Die was one of my favourite mazes at the event this year. In fact, it started off as my second favourite maze, where if it just dropped down to third by the end of the event, I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, I loved Do or Die this year, especially when you compare it to last year's version of Do or Die. It's definitely leveled up this year. The layout of the maze has improved vastly, and the fact that you now go in 4 shipping containers is very much an improvement on last year. You spend a lot more time indoors this year. And yeah, they of course brought in the isolation aspect of the maze. That's something that I'll touch on in just a second. But yeah, compared to last year, there's just so much more theming in there. Very strong cast this year. They were always nice and energetic. In terms of stuff that I don't think quite worked with Do or Die, the only thing I could really think of was the fact that I do think Do or Die started to struggle with the bigger crowds, because obviously with the isolation chambers, they couldn't really use them as well as they would like to when the crowds came. But apart from that, really enjoyed Do or Die this year. One of my favourite mazes at this year's event. Next up, we have the Blair Witch. Now, I definitely think this has been one of the Blair Witch's stronger years at the park. We actually had some pretty good run-throughs Blair Witch this year. Got a few amazing jump scares in the dark, like the new route really allowed actors to literally pop out of bushes and get some really good jump scares. I also stick by the point that I think Blair Witch has one of the best finale rooms on park. Like, it's always very daunting as you're walking up to that final shed and it's so smoky and you literally can't see anyone in there. So yeah, definitely one of the best finale rooms. And obviously it was great to have a brand new layout for Blair Witch. Like, it mixed things up a bit. For me, the issues with Blair Witch lie in the fact that A, it does open at dusk, which means it often has a very busy queue, which means you're often stacking in this maze, and it's not ideal. But I understand that there's not a lot the park can really do about this. It is an outdoor maze, so it does work best in the dark, so that's fair enough. As for the new route, not too sure on it. I think it really works well on paper, because obviously the idea of the Blair Witch films are that you get lost in the woods and you feel like you're going around in circles. And when designing that maze, they have obviously really thought about this, because the start section obviously is made to feel like you are getting lost and you're going back on yourself. So technically it works really well, but I think in reality, when guests were actually going through it, it didn't really translate over how they wanted it to be, because you did just have people going through it like, where are we going?
That's a dead end.
Go any further? And yeah, I think that was Blair Witch's biggest problem this year. And also, some of those trees are really annoying, like they proper get in your face. Next up, we have Platform 15. What a fantastic maze. I would 100% say that this has been my favourite year of Platform 15 ever. I think the casts have been absolutely brilliant this year. They've really brought that attraction to life. And yeah, literally every run through is always so consistent. And considering it has been at the park for quite a long time now, I think they've done a great job at still keeping it fairly fresh by bringing in these new storyline aspects. The only negative I could really think of in terms of Platform this year is that finale. It changed a few times throughout this year's event. It started off, the one we filmed in my video, where an actor would join your group pretending to be a guest. And then they'd kind of turn into a sleeper mid-finale. And then it kind of changed to an actor would bang on the window and they'd like have a laugh with the tour guide at the end, and then things would go wrong. I don't know, it was a bit of a mess in my opinion. I think if the park are looking to bring back Platform 15 for next year, then I don't know, they might need a new bigger space where they can really utilize like smoke and strobes and have an ending that will actually get people running. But apart from that, Platform has been absolutely brilliant this year. It's either my second or third favourite maze. So, Terror at Amity High, High School Sucks. Obviously, this was at last year's Fright Nights. However, this year, it has leveled up so much. It was genuinely one of my favourite things at this year's event. Just everything about that show was so cool. Like, we went and watched it so many times throughout the Fright Night stint. And yeah, all of the roaming actors are very entertaining. They'd interact with everyone really well. The points where I think Terror at Amity High kind of struggled this year was mainly in its form of advertising, because on the boards it says there's shows like every 20 minutes. And that wasn't the case at all. Like, I know on the cue boards, it still said that shows were like every 20 minutes. And I know a lot of people did get very confused with that. But at the end of the day, still loved Terror at Amity High. The show was fantastic, fantastic cast. Just really enjoyed it. I think if it comes back for next year, I would literally just like to see them go even bigger. Maybe some fire going up in the area. Just literally improve on what they've done this year. Now, next up we have Living Nightmare. I have to say, I went into this year's Fright Nights not expecting a whole lot from Living Nightmare. It's been at the park for a few years now, and we've been saying for quite a while, it is getting a bit samey now. So I didn't go into this year's event expecting too much. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised at the small improvements that they have done in there. Well, I say small, but they have got a whole new ending. It's definitely not the strongest maze on park this year, but it still performed pretty well. We had some great run-throughs in there. And as I said, the new ending was a lot of fun. They had a new guy on the stairs in the prison, so that was cool to see. And yeah, the cast still gave it their all, and at the end of the day, they did everything they could with the space that they had. But I do have to say, I think the space itself does need to change now. I think ideally, they could do with ripping out the whole of Living Nightmare and just building a brand new maze in there for next Fright Nights. That would be the ideal situation. If not that, then even just some kind of a re-theme, because yeah, it started off as a great maze in its opening year, and I think just after Living Nightmare Extreme, it has just slowly been declining. So in terms of Containment, we didn't actually do it this year. Normally we at least try and do it once every year, but this year I think it's just the fact that we haven't felt a need to do it. Like, we've got all of these incredible mazes, so we haven't really felt the need to pay an upcharge fee to do it. So that does of course leave us with Creek Freak Massacre, the brand new maze for this year. If you haven't seen, my previous video was actually a behind the scenes tour in Creek Freak Massacre from Steph, one of the top creatives who designed that maze. So yeah, be sure to check out that video if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, Creek Freak Massacre, what an incredible horror maze. Definitely my favourite maze at the park this year. Probably the best maze I've done this year at any Halloween event. The maze design itself is so well done. The way that you start off being split up and then you go down these long corridors and then suddenly everything starts to go wrong. Obviously we've got the hidden balcony and then you reach the madness that is the strobe room and the chainsaw finale. I could go on for hours and hours about the incredible design that's gone into this maze. So many small details have been thought about this maze, and Steph literally explained all of them in that behind the scenes videos. So yeah, I honestly appreciate the maze design itself so much. But at the end of the day, that maze wouldn't be anything without the incredible casts that have been in there this Fright Nights. They have literally brought that maze to life. They are so energetic, and they've really done something special. That is actually a slight worry of mine, because the cast were such a fundamental part of this maze. If Creek Creek does return in future years, will the maze itself live up to this year's Fright Nights? Because that maze itself demands such a high intensity cast, and hopefully it will return just as strong, and the cast will be able to carry it to the same point that it was at this year. But yeah, honestly, what a maze. So those were all of the attractions at this year's event. Just before I do a final Fright Nights wrap up, I just want to discuss a few things that I think could do with changing for next year's Fright Nights. I'm going to start off with something that was mainly apparent in the build up to Fright Nights, and that is Thorpe Park's marketing video production. As much as I have loved all of the marketing that went into this year's Fright Nights event, like all of those posters that appeared outside the Loggers Leap building were so cool and really help content creators like myself, as well as the graphics for this year. They are beautiful and really work well. However, as I mentioned, the video production for me just hasn't been up to standard for this year's Fright Nights. Obviously, with their announcement for their brand new maze this year, Creek Freak, they put out this video. And when you compare it to stuff that smaller companies are doing, like Tully Shocktoberfest, they released a video for their brand new maze, which you can see now. And yeah, you can see there's a massive quality difference there. Like even the Stranger Things video that myself and Kieran made was higher quality than the videos that Thorpe Park put out. We literally did them on zero budget. But yeah, I am just being honest, and I would love to see Thorpe Park step up their video production game a little bit next year. As I said, myself and Kieran would be more than happy to help out with anything that needed doing. We've both studied film production at university, so we know what we're doing. The only other bit of like constructive criticism I would say for this year's Fright Nights event would be the lack of roaming actors. Obviously last year we had big top showtime, and in previous years we just had teams of roaming actors. And yeah, it's always fun seeing groups of roaming actors walking around the park. It adds to the general like scariness of Fright Nights. And this year I do feel like the atmosphere was just kind of lacking in that sense. Like you almost felt too safe this year. So I would love to see the park perhaps look into getting back the roamers for next year. Those are literally the only real negatives that I have about this year's event. Be sure to leave any that you can think of down below. But yeah, overall, I really do think this has been one of the best Fright Nights years ever at Thorpe Park. Just from my personal experiences, I would say it's probably my favourite Fright Nights ever. Obviously, as I said, horror events and mazes are so subjective, so I don't expect everyone to share that opinion, but for me personally, best Fright Nights ever. In terms of the event offering this year, I think it really has been a step in the right direction. Obviously last year, 2018, the park very much went for quantity over quality. We had so many mazes that year, but those mazes weren't all amazing, whereas this year, we've had fewer mazes, fewer things to do, but so many of these mazes this year have absolutely smashed it. They have been top tier mazes. And yeah, I think quality over quantity is definitely the right way to go for future Fright Nights events. And of course, with the introduction of Creek Freak Massacre, a super intense maze, the feedback that I've had in the video comments shows that people absolutely love that maze. So hopefully that maze will be the start of more intense indoor mazes in the future. But yeah, just like I did over on my Instagram post recently, I just want to say, first of all, a massive thank you to the creative team who put so many hours behind the scenes in making Fright Nights. A big thank you to all of the staff that have worked at Fright Nights. Like, we've made friends with so many of you this year, and it's been sick getting to know you. And obviously the Fright Nights cast. Without you guys, Fright Nights wouldn't be what it is. So thank you so much for putting your heart and souls into the scares. And yeah, you've created some great memories for myself and thousands and thousands of other people. And also a massive thank you to Kieran Adams, who has been helping me with all of these Fright Nights videos for the past 4 months. And also a massive thank you to everyone else who has appeared in all of my vlogs over Halloween season. the vlogs wouldn't be what they are without you guys. And yeah, a final thank you to, of course, you guys that are watching this right now. Thank you so much for all of the support you guys show the Fright Nights videos. You honestly make all of the hours that we put into these videos so worth it. And it's so cool to be able to meet you on Park and to chat to you. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed the videos as much as we have enjoyed making them. And yeah, that is a wrap for Thorpe Park Fright Nights 2019. It's been a great one. Thank you all so much for joining us on this journey. My name is TheJackSilkstone. Goodbye.
Oh my god.
Wait, what?
That's the Fright Nights logo on it, bro.
Let me see this.
Oh my god, bro. Creekwood Sawmill. Creekwood Sawmill. Oh my god, bro. This is breaking, bro.